The dangers of red light therapy. Stay away from it, right? It's horrible. Who wants this beautiful red and near-infrared light shining on our bodies? Who knows what it's doing, right? Well, I recently was shared a video titled The Dangers of Red Light Therapy. It was an interview performed on a local breakfast TV show, of all things. And they interviewed a dermatologist. Now, it's rather fascinating. I'm going to share some clips from this interview and I'm going to share my thoughts and feedback. Now, of course, I'm not a dermatologist or a light engineer or a scientist or a doctor or anything like that, but I have gone rather deep into the world of red light therapy or photobiomodulation, as it's more accurately known, and I do know a thing or two about it. So let's play some clips.
Well, it may look like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, but some A-list celebs and skincare fanatics swear by it. Coming in the form of masks, a wand, even lamps, red light therapy claims to give you glowy and flawless skin. But as the treatment becomes more accessible, dermatologists are warning us of...
Good morning, Daniel. Morena.
Morena, before we get to your concerns, I want to know, what is red light therapy and how does it work?
So red light therapy is part of the ultraviolet spectrum. That's it.
Wait, what? Let's rewind that.
So red light therapy is part of the ultraviolet spectrum.
Whoa, hold up. This is like 5 seconds into the interview. So her definition, at least the start of her definition, is that red light therapy is part of the ultraviolet spectrum. So let's have a look at what the ultraviolet spectrum is. Okay, so Wikipedia, ultraviolet light is the electromagnetic radiation of wavelengths of 10 to 400 nanometers, shorter than visible light, but longer than X-rays. All right, okay, cool. And when we go down here, you can see that ultraviolet is split into UVA, UVB, UVC, and again, ranging from 100 through to 400 nanometers. Now, when you pull up the electromagnetic spectrum, which is all the wavelengths known to man, including the visible spectrum, you'll see something like this. Now, in the middle here is your visible spectrum. Over here is your ultraviolet. And then we have X-rays, gamma rays. On the other side, we have infrared, microwaves, and radio waves. Another diagram, again, the visible part of the light that we can see, is quite a narrow band of the electromagnetic spectrum. Now, the dermatologist was referring to ultraviolet, which is here, this range. Here, let me show you on another graph. We have visible light, and then we have ultraviolet here. Now, red light therapy, as the name implies, involves red light and also some near-infrared light. Quick search for red light therapy in PubMed pulls up a bunch of papers. Here's one showing that the most common wavelength used for red light therapy or photobiomodulation is between 650 and 1200 nanometers. It goes into the reasons why. And then as you can see on the graphic below, 650 nanometers starts around here. And as the wavelengths increase, we go more towards the infrared rays and away from UV rays. Remember, UV rays that the dermatologist was talking about are around 100 to 400 nanometers. That's to the left. That's smaller than the red and the near infrared, which is actually closer to the infrared waves. Another definition here, this is from Thor Laser. They make medical red light therapy devices. They state that the red and near infrared light ranging from 600 to 1000 nanometers, commonly used in photobiomodulation, can be produced from lasers or high intensity LEDs. So again, let's go back to the light spectrum. Here we have ultraviolet, 100 nanometers or so, and then we have visible light starting with your blue and violets into your greens, your ambers, then your red, 600, 650, and then it drops out of the visible spectrum and goes into the infrared. This range, 600 to say 1200 nanometers, is what we're talking about when we refer to red light therapy. This is red light. Visible red light is about 600, 650 nanometers. It's very different to UV light, which we can't see. Infrared light, we cannot see either, but remember, that's on the other side of the visible light spectrum, down here towards infrared light and towards thermal infrared light, and then eventually towards microwaves. But the waves that the masks and the bulbs and the panels that we're using in the red light therapy space are a long way away from microwaves, and of course, a long way away from UV rays as well. Okay, let's go back to the interview.
Towards the end where the wavelengths are quite long, and that means they penetrate more deeply into the skin.
Yeah, so I mean, again, she's basing this all around the assumption that red light therapy is using UV rays, which is not the case. Now, yes, red light therapy, both near infrared and red light, can penetrate the skin. Not a huge amount, but red light therapy is used medically and on the brain for all sorts of cognitive disorders. It's used on joints for recovery, and it's been shown to be quite beneficial. But again, her assumption is that red light therapy is using UV light, which is not correct.
So it can reach right down into deep blood vessels, down to the fatty layer, and beyond even where the pigment is produced.
So what can red light therapy treat?
So it can treat pigment disorders if they are very deep. Mostly they're designed for treating blood vessel abnormalities.
The benefits of red light therapy are very extensive. There are over 6,000 peer-reviewed research papers on PubMed on photobiomodulation. Remember, photobiomodulation is the scientific name for red light therapy. If you have a look at some of the articles my team and I have put together over at Light Therapy Insiders, you'll see that most of these studies are very beneficial. I've even done videos on this topic, pulling up some of the benefits of red light therapy. Remember, this is huge. It's not just some fad that's taken off. It's been around for a very long time, and it's used by medical professionals all around the world. It's used in hospitals. My son used red light therapy to help him with his medical condition. It was prescribed by a neurotherapist, and we had some great results. There is a lot to it. There is a lot of credible research behind it, and there are some amazing stories out there from people who have had total life-changing experiences after using red light therapy devices. Anyway, let's continue with this interview.
Such as if people are born with rather large red marks. Occasionally they can be used for inflammatory conditions in the deep layers of the skin and and the fat layer. And
yeah, so that is a big benefit. Red light therapy can help with inflammation. Not too sure what inflammation in the fat layer is, but typically we're talking inflammation in the joints or in the muscle. I mean, I personally use it for recovery. It's amazing. Let's continue.
They can also sometimes help to break up some scar tissues like scleroderma, for instance.
Yeah, and again, red light therapy has been shown to be beneficial for scarring, wound healing, surface level, superficial level injuries, and just simply speeding up wound healing. So I'm a little bit confused here because is she talking about red light therapy here, but her understanding with red light therapy was that it was UV light? I'm not too sure, but we'll play it out a bit more.
But it is mindful that, or one needs to be aware that because, depending on what your issue is, it can cause effects on other tissues, that you need to be sure that the person administering the red light therapy has the training and knows their equipment will direct it exactly where the problem is and not just blunderbust everywhere, and that they could...
Okay, so she makes kind of a valid point here. Now, remember, I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but when you go outside, you're exposed to red light therapy, right? There is red light, both visible red light and infrared light, being emitted from the sun. I've done videos on this where I literally test the amount of red light therapy in the sun. Yeah, there's also UV light and there's UVAs, UVBs, as we know, all sorts of wavelengths being emitted from the sun. So just remember that, okay? If you think this is horrible stuff and you need to avoid it, then of course you need to avoid the sun because there's actually quite a lot of red light therapy being emitted from the sun. Now, as for needing a medical professional to, guide you with your treatment, a couple of things here. Firstly, it's kind of like saying you shouldn't exercise without a coach or a personal trainer. We know that exercise is good. It's pretty basic. It's built into nature. It's simply movement, right? And stressing the body in a way. You don't need a highly qualified performance coach or a personal trainer to do it. Sure, if you're new and you have no idea, yeah, you may want to, or if you have a serious injury or a medical condition, of course. But the same thing could be said with red light therapy. For most of us, a little bit of light is going to do wonders. However, if you're trying to use it for a particular medical condition, or you're using a very advanced device like a high-powered medical laser, these things are going to be tens of thousands of dollars. So chances are you haven't just stumbled upon one of these. Then yeah, you probably want to do it and use it under the supervision of someone who knows what they're doing. And this is what happens in clinics that use red light therapy. Whether you're using a Thor laser, for instance, where they target certain areas, or a dentist may be using it, Or like, again, my son's situation, we were using a particular device under the supervision of a trained expert who was literally doing brain scans of my son and then adjusting the treatment accordingly. But again, that was with a medical device, not some mask that you're getting off Amazon or Alibaba for $50. All right, let's continue.
And also provide support if things go wrong. Medical equipment undergoes rigorous calibration standards, and the practice.
I love how she's talking about medical equipment and then it's showing like a $200 LED mask that probably costs, I don't know, $50 to make. Yeah.
Is very rigorous training.
Also notice there that the mask on screen was emitting blue light. This is meant to be red light, right? So
I'd recommend any consumers or users to check out the credentials of the person administering the treatment. Make sure they've given you correct information in terms of if they're selling it just as being good, it probably is too good to be true, because there are adverse effects, there are side effects, and you need to know those.
Adverse effects and side effects of red light therapy are very, very low, if not non-existent. Occasionally, you'll have people who break out in rashes. Some people who overdo it maybe get a bit of dryness in their skin. And some people who have some underlying health issues and then do a full body treatment, especially at a high intensity or a long duration, can have a Herxheimer reaction where symptoms such as fever, headaches, and rash can present. This is very, very rare. I mean, I have a Facebook group with nearly 10,000 people in it talking about red light therapy, and the amount of people who have had side effects, especially to this degree, I'd be able to count them on my hands. Now, I actually asked James Carroll, who has been using red light therapy for longer than I've been alive, about long-term side effects, and you can see his reaction here. Another quick question then, what about because I get this quite a lot, long-term, how long have you been using the Novathor?
First one we made was in 2013, and it was a single-sided device, and getting better since then, really. And I only had one in my house for the last 5 years.
Have there been many long-term use studies on?
Well, I've been using photobiomodulation myself since 1987, so that's my first experience. So that's 37 years. So if that's a long-term study, it's kind of...
Fair enough.
And then 10 years worth of increasing amounts of Novathor treatment, and particularly the last 5 years, every day, where I am when I'm in the country. It's the same. I think I'm these days, post-pandemic, not traveling so much. I'm getting about 20 sessions a month in.
Well, okay, cool.
They may also be side effects that come much, much later. We know that ultraviolet rays do contribute to increased aging, known as photoaging, and to skin cancers.
Oh, wait. So again, she's referring to UV light, ultraviolet light. Remember, there is no ultraviolet light in a red light therapy device. Well, at least most of the red light therapy devices sold today, they're not including UV light. There's a couple of reasons why. Firstly, UV emitting LEDs or bulbs are quite expensive. Secondly, it's well known that UV light can be damaging, can be harmful. All right, it's why we wear sunscreen when we're out in the sun all the time. We know this, okay? I'm not denying that. I'm just saying the difference between UV light and red light and near-infrared light is massive, both in terms of the wavelength and in terms of what it does on the body. So the dermatologist here, again, is getting the two mixed up, which is, it's harmful. It's damaging for the world of red light therapy. And for people who want to learn more about this, they see this video and think, oh my God, I'm not going near it. Now, what's quite ironic is red light therapy can actually help with photoaging. There are lots of studies on this. There are lots of testimonials. There's an amazing case study in my Facebook group again, where some woman showed her before and after, and the results were huge. In fact, there was a study done using an LED red light therapy mask, and the changes from people who used this mask were quite extraordinary. We were talking less fine wrinkles, better skin elasticity, all sorts of skin metric markers improved after using red light therapy.
And to skin cancers and other damage. So
skin cancers, to my knowledge, there is no evidence showing that red light therapy leads to skin cancer. In fact, jump on Google and type in red light therapy and cancer. The first thing that comes up saying some studies imply that red light therapy may aid cancer treatment. Fascinating. WebMD has an article on red light therapy, and in the section where it says, can it cause cancer? It says there is no evidence that red light therapy causes cancer. Hey, look at this. Red light therapy does not use ultraviolet rays, a form of radiation found in tanning beds and sunlight that can lead to skin cancer. See the confusion here? And then this peer-reviewed paper looked at red light therapy and whether it's an issue in harboring cancer, if the tissues have cancer cells in it. Again, they're using red light, 670 nanometers, very different to the UV light, in individuals that had cancerous tumors, the poor people. Now, the conclusions state that the experiment suggests that low-level laser therapy, which is also red light therapy, at these levels may be safe when malignant lesions are present. Now, I don't want to turn this into a red light therapy on cancer video. I just want to show that the dermatologist's statements are false. They're wrong, okay? So let's see what else she says.
Be careful to use just what you need for the condition and not just for the feel-good factor. Otherwise, you could end up coming away with red-eyed, red-faced, and in the red.
That's very funny.
And potential major health problems.
Gosh, Louise, you started off with the benefits and I thought, wow, and then you took me down to the potential risks that come with it. So should we add it to our beauty regime, or is it just a...
See, that reaction, it's sad because a lot of people will see this. 4,000 people have seen it already. They'll see this and yeah, they'll think the same thing. Wow, it sounds great. My friend had good results, whatever. And then they'll see something like this and think, oh no, I'm not going near it. It's kind of sad. Anyway.
We add it to our beauty regime, or is it just a gimmick in your view?
From a beauty side of things, that absolutely is a gimmick.
Yeah, it's crazy. Now look, I've been in the health and fitness space for a long time. I've seen gimmicks, I've seen fads, I've seen a lot of things, right? Red light therapy is not a gimmick or a fad. Like I said, 6,000, maybe 7,000 peer-reviewed studies. You have some of the top universities and medical centers using this. You have scientists, you have a lot of very intelligent people, and myself was not in this group, using, researching, investing in this technology. Now, I'm about to go to London for PBM 2024. This is the leading red light therapy event, and we have all the world's scientists in red light therapy coming to share their findings. We have companies sharing new products and all this good stuff. This is a scientific medical event. It's not a health and wellness expo. It's a medical event, right? Medical events pulling in scientists from all around the world do not happen for technologies or products that are gimmicks or fads. Again, I've done videos on the benefits of red light therapy, the scientific benefits of red light therapy, where every single claim was backed by scientific research. One of the reasons why red light therapy is taking off, there's two reasons. Firstly is because it's working. Now, word of mouth is powerful. Even better than that is when you see a friend and you notice a change and you think, wow, you look better or you're moving better or whatever. That's more powerful than any viral video or your favorite influencer promoting a product. The second reason for the explosion of red light therapy is due to the cost. You see, a lot of the research used to be done using lasers emitting red light and the infrared light. It's now possible to get red light therapy products for the consumer because the cost to produce them is so low. These LEDs are doing a very similar job to the lasers. They're putting out the same wavelengths at the same or similar energy output, energy density. So you combine those two things, something that works and now something that is rather inexpensive, of course it's going to take off. But of course there's going to be naysayers and people who dismiss it saying it's a gimmick or a fad, like this lady.
I'd be very, very careful. So yes, it can have therapeutic problems if you've got some kind of abnormality or skin disease. But if you are using it for beauty therapy, whilst it might cause a little bit of a glow, as you say, like a sunburn effect early on, 10, 20 years' time, you'll regret it deeply.
That's funny because, again, I asked James Carroll, who's been using red light therapy for 30-something years, 37 years, I think. And he is very sharp. He looks amazing. And he does a lot of travel and he's always running businesses and whatnot. And yeah, this guy looks and functions incredibly well. And he's been using this longer than I've been alive, right?
Dermatologist Louise Reich, always good.
Unfortunately, Miss Wright, you are wrong in this instance. Now, I don't want this to be seen as a personal attack or anything like that. I'm just saying, I think Mrs. Wright's understanding on red light therapy was wrong. And because of that understanding and the assumption she made that red light therapy is UV light, that all of her follow-on beliefs are obviously totally false. I don't think there's any ill intention here. Some people have said that dermatologists don't like that red light therapy is taking over because people can treat themselves at home and they don't need to go to a dermatologist. I don't buy into that. I mean, if I was a dermatologist, I'd just be tapping into red light therapy as well. I'd be using it as one of my tools in my toolkit. In fact, there's a lot of skincare products out there, skin serums, that work with red light therapy products. I just think that there was a lack of understanding, and it's just unfortunate that the title of this video and the fact that the content was shared on national television and is now on YouTube, it's just damaging. So to sum this up, is red light therapy dangerous? Well, I'm going to let you decide for that. But I would say one thing, do some research, always get both sides of the story. Look for pros and cons. If it sounds too good to be true, chances are it is. But yeah, do some research. Don't just blindly follow someone who you've seen on a breakfast show and make massive decisions accordingly. Happy to answer any questions. If you want to take a deeper dive into this topic, then I've got heaps of links down below. Yeah, keen to hear your thoughts as well. Also check this video out. It's one of mine. My light just went off, so that means the video's got to go. I will see you soon, or I'll see you over here, or down here, or down here, or in the Facebook group.